Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam and welcome to my review for It, 2017. This movie was directed by Andy Muschietti and it was based off the book of the same name written by Stephen King. It tells a story of a group of kids who unite after a series of run-ins with a couple of bullies, and they form to stop a malevolent force of evil known as It, who most notably takes the form of Pennywise the Dancing Clown, played this time around by Bill Skarsgård. This movie was my first real exposure to It. I had never seen the miniseries, I had only seen a couple of reviews of it, so I was a little skeptical. But I walked out pretty happy. It was honestly a big surprise for me because as someone who's not the biggest fan of King, I walked out of there like, wow, that movie was fantastic. As I've walked away from it and upon rewatch, it does have problems, but on the whole, I liked it more than I hated it. It's, again, a very mixed bag, just like the TV series. However, similar to the 1990 series, the kids in It 2017 are all excellent. I know that there's one kid from Stranger Things, I think his name is Finn Wolfhard. He does a great job, but really all of the kids do an excellent job. They have to deal with a lot of heady material and really tough stuff, and they handle it like professionals. But the biggest difference that I noticed between It 2017 and It 1990 was that 2017 was aimed for more of an adult tone. It felt grittier and grimier, and you could definitely tell in the scares. Most notably of all, this movie made balloons and floating absolutely terrifying. Now, what you'll notice in It in 1990, basically Pennywise's threats were, you'll float, you'll all float. Well, in It 2017, everybody floats, and it looks absolutely petrifying. And instead of the 1990 series, where Pennywise had multiple colored balloons trying to scare them, this version had all red balloons. Whenever you saw a red balloon, you knew your ass was grass. And just like Tim Curry, Bill Skarsgård brings his own unique energy and charisma to this role. You could tell he's just having the time of his life with this, and he has more than his fair share of menacing moments. Basically, in my opinion, his most menacing moments were at the very beginning when he's talking to Georgie in the sewer, and at the end. But similar to It 1990, for every good there is a bad, and this movie is not perfect, it has its fair share of problems. Starting with the supporting cast. In the 1990 series, the people were egregious, but at least they looked like normal people. In this version, everybody looks like dehydrated Trump love children. They just looked sickly. Now I get it, they were trying to go for the aesthetic of, oh, this town is a living and breathing thing, and it's a place of evil, so the people would naturally either look or in some way be evil. But the people in this movie are just way too evil. There were some really weird edits in this. Now, there were some weird edits in It 1990 as well, but for a movie that's trying to go for a serious tone, there were a lot of moments where like, this isn't serious, this is actually pretty funny. The two biggest examples I could find were the scene where Beverly gets the blood coming out from under the sink. In the 1990 version, it looks, really visceral and raw. But in the 2017 version, it looks like a blood storm happened in her bathroom. And the idea is supposed to be that her father doesn't notice it. Well, in the 1990 version, there's really not that much blood, so you would think, oh, maybe he just missed it. I don't know how he would, but maybe he just chose to oversee it. But in 2017, the entire room is covered in blood. It's like, how do you miss that unless you're under a spell or something? It's never explained. Also, there's the scene where the Losers Club fight off the bullies. I'll get to them in a second. But basically, when they're having the rock battle, and then one of the bullies in slow-mo goes, F-U-B, and he gets hit in the face with a rock. I'm like, Why did you have to slow-mo that? You could have just had him say it regular and the effect would have been just as fine. And there were some inconsistencies with the bullies in this movie as well. In this version, they tried to give the bullies more of a justified reason as to why they're doing the awful things they're doing, and not just because they're T-Bird knockoffs. Now that is very admirable, but at the same time, when you humanize the characters, it just makes no sense when they're actually starting to do the things that they're doing. Like, the main bully, I'm just going to call him Kiefer Sutherland because that's what he looks like. You know, he starts terrorizing the Losers Club, but at home, he's got a dad who basically terrorizes him as well. It's like, okay, so he does this to prove that he's a man to his dad. Why am I supposed to hate him again? And similar to Tim Curry, Bill Skarsgård has more than his fair share of silly moments. But I feel like they're more amplified in this version because this version is going for a more serious tone, when in the 90s version, it was a pure cheese fest. I cannot take seriously the scene where Pennywise jumps out of the box and starts doing the Irish jig to try and intimidate Beverly. I'm sorry, that doesn't look scary. That looks like you're either A, discreetly trying to remove your underwear from your crack in the mall, or you just look like your feet are on fire. Whenever I see that scene, I'm trying to remind myself, this is a scary movie. But I felt like, on the whole, It 2017 took more chances, and more often than not, they did pay off. I am going to give it a great rating. I think I like this a little more than the 90s version, but at the same time, I think they're both very good. But that's all for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will be reviewing It Chapter 2, obviously, and then we will be going on to Misery and The Shawshank Redemption. My name is Ryan Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.